Yes, Matty, how are you, pal? Thank you for joining me, mate. It's absolutely honour to have you on this Wheel Talk Live podcast of mine. A local Burnley DJ, absolutely smashing it, mate. Heard and seen a lot of good things about you from some of the events that I've been to over the years. Absolute pleasure to have you on, pal.
Oh, thank you, mate. Pleasure to come on and do this podcast for you. I'm really looking forward to answering all your questions and giving you a bit of an insight into what it is I do and what I've done over these past few years. So no, I'm really looking forward to it, pal.
100%, mate, and that's sort of an angle what I've been going down recently, interviewing local people who are doing really well in different walks of life, because I think it's really important to shine a light on the good work people of Burnley are doing, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But I just wanted to sort of talk about your early sort of love of this kind of music that you create and where it all began, whether it began through old school house or who got you into it, etc.
So I've always had a bit of a love for music. So like some of my early memories, my brother plays guitar, so he played guitar and had a keyboard when he was younger. So I used to listen to him play a bit, but he was more into his like heavy metal and stuff. I never really got into that, to be honest. But my mum and dad used to listen to like the 90s dance tracks and stuff. They went out around Burnley like Angels and stuff like that when they were younger. So I was brought up listening to a lot of that. And I used to absolutely love like your early 2000s, like late 90s classic trance. That's initially what I started listening to, probably more so than house music actually. So like the early stuff I absolutely loved, and then the kind of taste for house music kind of grew the older I kind of got. But I'd always been surrounded by music and stuff, like saying my brother played, I have a dabble, I play keyboard as well. So we always had a bit of an ear for it. I could pick stuff up just by listening to it. Someone play me a song, I could kind of work out, the basics of the chords or the melody behind it. So I think I've always had a bit of an ear for it, probably from earlier than I realised, to be honest.
Do you think people are born with that? Like it's sort of not destiny, but I always feel like sort of certain people are driven towards a certain path. Mine is talking to people and interacting and making an impact. And the sheer love I get from this music. Like I said to you off camera, I've been into it all since about 8 years old. I'm 24 now. That's a long time. The growth and the love for it has developed. Do you think people are just born with an ear for a tune? Because I can't describe how alive it makes me feel. Is that something that you agree with?
I think you get like, I think with music, you either, I don't pigeonhole it all. So I like what I like and I don't like what I don't like. I've never really been in a situation where it's like, oh, I really hate a genre of music, something. If someone plays me a song, I'll either go, I like the song, or I don't like the song. But I'm pretty open to it. But I think you'll know, especially with house music and stuff, I think it's when you listen to songs. I used to remember, I have memories of this when you're younger, you listen to a song and like, I get goosebumps. Like if something really hits me, I'll send goosebumps all kind of down my arm and stuff. And I think you have that kind of, that passion and where it comes from. If you hear a song and it does that to you, you know that it's going to be like that. And house music's always kind of been like that. The right tune played at the right time will just do it for me. And you know what I mean? But I do think it's one of them things that I think people tend to like it or they don't. I think you listen to it and you either go, really love this, or some people just go, maybe it's not for me. Now that might change as you get older and stuff, but I think the real house heads, I think they love it and they always kind of have done. But people might grow into it. You never say never.
100%, I totally agree with that, because I was at my mate's band, the Stride event, a few weeks back at Electric Cirque. I know we'll get onto that venue in a minute. And my mate's into indie. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love indie and all that sort of stuff as well. But when the house music stuff came on afterwards, when they had a DJ on, I just came alive and I weren't really bothered about what my friends were doing. They were just stood there and I was sort of in my own world, which I totally agree with, because like you say, I think it either grips you or it doesn't. And I think it's certainly gripped us. Can you remember when you first wanted to sort of like have an experiment with creating your own sound and the first decks you bought, etc.?
So my first ever experience was on a pair of turntables. So
Yeah,
we'd gone to California. We have my auntie and uncle live out there, and my uncle had a pair of turntables, and I said to him, can I have a go? And he said yes. So he got me set up and basically showed me what we want, and I was just flicking through all his records and stuff. And that was my kind of first experience of it. There's a picture that does around on my Facebook sometimes. It's
yeah,
like a picture of me about 10-year-old just there with the turntables. It's really good. But I think from then I always thought, I want to have a go at this. But it weren't something that I picked up until I was a bit older. It was always something I wanted to do. But part of the issue is it can be so expensive,
yeah,
to get all the equipment. And if you're on, if you're buying turntables, then you've got to buy all your vinyl. Or if you're on, your new
yeah,
equipment, you might need a good laptop to be able to run it. So
yeah,
it can be, quite expensive just to get set up. So I didn't really get a chance to have a proper go until I'm going to say 16. I think I was 16, 17.
yeah,
And someone I got given, it was called an Ion Q. And it was a little square unit. It was about 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters, right? And you had literally a tiny jog wheel that were like that, about that big. And you just had two faders just to bring the song in and bring the song out. And so I had to go on that. I think I did a couple of mixes on it. To be honest, I'd probably be a bit embarrassed listening back to them now, but that's a long time ago. So I had a couple of go mixes on that. And then I went, I really like this. I need to get something. I need to get something better, something I can really learn on. So I was during college, and then I saved up kind of my first month or two wage, and I bought, it was called a Newmark NV, and it
yeah,
was like an all-in-one kind of unit. You could use a laptop with it. It had little waveforms at the top and like small jog wheels, and I properly learnt to mix on that with 4 channels on it. And I started, really practicing. I was putting in probably that, a couple of hours a day to start with, and I was, really practicing and getting new music and trying different styles and different genres of house. Obviously, I was brought up listening to the old school, so we're doing some mixes playing that. We're playing some new tech, deep house stuff. So they were my first kind of 2 real units that I had. And they got me started, and I think if you get something small to begin with, if anyone's like thinking of doing it, just to give it a go and just to give you a feel for it, because
yeah,
people can go out and spend a lot of money on equipment that you might not necessarily decide you want to pursue or anything.
yeah.
So if you're going to get it, start off something small, see how you get on, see if you like it, and then you can always upgrade as you go along, kind of thing.
I've got a DDJ 200, I think, in my cupboard, but it's being able to do it with my hands that I struggle with, and the timing of
Yeah,
it all, because it's a lot more sort of more than just about playing tunes in it. But I think there's loads of different cool apps out there that basically, if you want to pursue anything, you can do it, and that's one thing I'll talk to you about in a bit when we get onto the questions about Rework and some of the artists that you have on there. Can you remember your first live performance, from whether it be in front of your friends, house parties, or we've had plenty of house parties at my house over the years, and house music's always on, on computer with massive speakers or whatever. Did you ever, play in front of your mates and stuff like that at
so
first?
I think my first ever, I turned my attic at one point into like a little, we'll call it a rave cave. I've just basically bought loads of lights and some 800-watt speakers that were just unnecessary for me attic. So I turned that into a bit of a rave cave initially. So we got like my decks up there and stuff. I bought like this big inflatable leather sofa and loads of a smoke machine. Why we're going to use a smoke machine? In my own house. Yeah, really good idea. That really good idea. Funnily enough, we could never use that because it set the alarms off, of course.
Yeah.
So I used to do that, and I'd have a few mates up and have a play. But my first ever gig was, I think it was called The Attic, in Accrington, and I'd gone in there, and there was only 3 people, I think, who played all night. A couple of my mates who invited me on, and they said, "Will you come and play for us?" I said, "Yeah, no problem." So we went down. We had 3 people in, and there was a fella called Sean Mason, who I know now. He follows me around quite a bit now. I see him at Beta and stuff, and he was one of the people who came in. And he came up to me and he said, "I'm like really impressed with what I've heard and seen you do." He said, "Like keep it on, keep doing it." He said, "You'll do really well for yourself." He said, "From what I've heard there," and you needed that because it can be a bit when you play to an empty crowd. I think sometimes it's you don't get that feel, that energy, but at the same time, that's what you have to do in the start. In the beginning, you might be playing to 1, 2, 3 people. But if you've got the passion for it and the energy, you keep going back and keep going back. So that was the first ever gig that I did. Saying wasn't many in, but I knew from just playing in a venue, I went, I really want to pursue this. This is something I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to have to pause the recording because DPD have what...
We're back on.
We're back on, everyone. Disturbed by some knobhead from DPD, so apologies for the stopping of the recording there. Do you want to carry on with that, Matty? He's disrupted my thought process. It's not even my parcel.
Dropping someone else's off here.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the summary of my first ever gig. And I kind of knew from that I wanted to pursue it, and I thought, I'm going to give this a go. And it's funny with DJing, right? Because I think people for a long time don't take it seriously, and a lot of people don't see it as a job. I still get people now. I've been doing it 10 years now, and people still say to me, it's like, "Oh, it's good that you've got a hobby and stuff." It's like, well, it's not a hobby for me. Like, I've worked hard to get to a point where it's actually becoming, it's real. You know what I mean? Stuff that I've done this past couple of years. So it's one of them. I've lost my train of thought now.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. It's about following your passion. I think people think that with me. I think they think my job with Burnley FC community is like volunteering or whatever. And it's like, no, mate. I've been doing it for 4 years as well. This isn't something we're doing for the laugh because, I enjoy that in-person interaction more so than some of the, than some of the non-genuine media stuff, because this stuff is genuine and that's what it's about, proper in-person, or just genuine real conversation. And you definitely get that from DJing as a performer, interaction with the crowd and stuff. And that's a good segue into the next question. I'm very good at this, I think. Wanted to chat to you next about building a following as a DJ and how important that is, both locally and sort of beyond, because there's some proper good nights that we've had over the years in Burnley, and I'm sure that's something that you can agree with performing as well when we go and see people like yourself, performing at the various stuff that you do.
I think obviously the following is important and stuff, but it's because it's changed so much. There's so many factors into like DJing now. You know what I mean? Now I played regularly in Burnley for a lot of years. I was resident at Remedy, Mojitos, Hidden briefly. So and I knew a lot of people locally as well, which always kind of helps. You know what I mean? But the following is important. And it's having your local following and then trying to branch out as well, because you want people to, I love playing in Burnley and I love putting events on around here, but you want people to book you outside of that town as well. You know what I mean? Which it's really, really difficult, because I don't think people realise, obviously Burnley's quite a small town to start with. So for anyone that's wants to pursue DJing, the opportunities are kind of limited in regards to, your cities like Manchester and Leeds and Newcastle. You know what I mean? There's so many more people that are probably going to be able to help you on that journey kind of thing. So you've got to want to do it, and you've got to put yourself out there and put yourself in situations where you're going to grow the following, and people from them other towns and cities are going to like what you do and want to listen to you and want to come and support you. I think it's really, really important. If you're putting on nights and stuff as well, even with that, you want to book good DJs, but you also want to book people as well that they're going to bring some people to your event. I think you have to. There's so many factors to bring in. I think with Rework, I know you said we're going to come on to this, so I'll only brush on it.
No,
but I think we like to kind of give opportunities to new DJs. Obviously, the ones that we know are really good, we want to book and come and play with us. People, we want to give them opportunities back to, for me, I had to kind of work hard for them and push for them myself. So now I'm in a position where I can kind of help other people, to some extent. I think we want to do that, and we want to go, well, listen, I know how hard it is trying to grow from out, being this DJ from little old Burnley to, playing in Ibiza and stuff like this. So let's give a bit back and let's try and, pull some other people up with us and give them opportunities that might otherwise be, quite limited.
Yeah. How do you identify these DJs in terms of, is it through word of mouth, or is it through, like I said on one of the questions I sent you, SoundCloud, Beatport, etc., or is it through, like you say, a bit of emotional intelligence, understanding who's got the mates who are proper, into it, and who's going to bring a good following and who isn't, etc., or is it a bit of a mixture of everything?
It's all about balance, I think. I think when you're putting on these nights, because I've booked DJs that might show up with just them on their own. They might not bring people with them. Maybe they might not bring anyone. Maybe even the people that go to the event might not be going for that DJ. But I've heard them and I've gone, you know what, you're good at what you do. I want to give you a chance because, and then there's DJs that we booked who we go, they might be all right, or they might just be starting out, but they're going to bring 50 people down with them. So, it is all about that balance, but we want to give opportunities for that. And you know what? When you tend to do that, word of mouth's good as well. People say to me, have you listened to them? They're actually really good. Give them a chance. And you know what? Them DJs that might bring a lot of people down with you might actually put them on, and they might be really good. We've booked them anyway. Do you know what I mean? We've give opportunities to people that might only bring themselves and one other, or maybe just come on their own, or they might bring 50, 60 down with them. But it's all about giving them opportunities, you know what I mean? And we want people to come away and go, the event was really good, we really enjoyed that. And, we want people to be coming back. And we want to bring in new DJs as well, you know what I mean? We like to keep it varied. We don't want to book the same people every single event. We want to change it up. We want to have a big group of residents who we can bring in and swap between. So I think there's a lot of factors that, you kind of filter in, I think.
100%. Like, when did you first start Rework? Was it in 2021? I was reading. Correct me if that's shit research. I do apologise.
So, Rework initially started during my time at uni. So it was part of a uni project that I had to do. However, the brand then was called Housekeeping.
Oh, class.
So I had to put on a night as part of one of my units and modules. So put on this night, and so you basically had to do all your kind of promo, who you're booking, your budget and that. Are you paying for the venue? Are you paying for your decks? Are you paying for door staff? All that. It was all filtered in. So we started off, did the night. The night went well. I think I broke even roughly. I think we did. I don't even. In fact, we might not have charged on the door. We might have done it for free, or we did donations. It was something like that. But it went pretty well for the first event. And then, to be honest, it kind of stopped for a couple of years because I think when you're putting on your own nights, I was kind of busy focusing on kind of my growth as a DJ.
100%.
And at the time, it felt like I needed to focus more on that rather than, possibly growing a brand. So I kind of stopped it, and I toyed on with putting an event on a couple of times and just never really did it. And then it was one of our mates, Toby. We did a live stream. I think it was might have been just after lockdown around that time. And he said, look, I'm interested in starting a night. I said, well, funnily enough, I said, I'm ready to kind of kick things off again with my brand. And I've got a brand here. We already had the social media pages set up and stuff. So it's called Housekeeping. So why don't we do that? And, we can run with that. So it'd be good to have someone on board as well, because you get to bounce your ideas off people, you know what I mean? If I'm having a day where I can't do the socials, he can jump on, and it's good to have that person to bounce things off, and, kind of share the workload with. So we started that, and we called the night Rework, presented by Housekeeping, because we were toying on names.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Housekeeping, but I didn't want to keep it. Toby didn't like it, but we were a bit unsure of what to do with it. So I said, well, let's just do that for a start. So we sat down, and it was called Rework, presented by Housekeeping. That was the first event we did. I think it was 2021.
Get in.
Get in, yeah. You've done your research. If it's me that don't know, you'll be telling me. So we did it. We did an event over at Greenfields. I think that was the first one, and then we moved on to Max. And they both went well. To be fair, we made us money. We made a slight profit. It weren't a lot of money, but we made profit, so it was good. So it meant we could put it into the next event. And then we did 2 really good events at Max, and they started being a bit funny with us about the venue. So they then told us we had to pay double for the room hire fee, which I was like, well, why all of a sudden, just because it's going well, so you want to charge this? So we kind of went, right, okay. And then they wanted to take the ticket sales offers from midnight, and I said, well, if we're paying a room hire fee, and you then want to take the ticket sales offers at possibly a peak time, I said it's pointless us doing it. So we had to kind of put it on hold for the time being. We said we're not going to go in and put this event on just for that. We'll wait. And we waited, and I was passing the Electric Circus, and I went in there, and I went, this venue's class. I think it only just opened, or it hadn't been open long. I said, we need to do something here. So then born was the reworks at the Electric Circus.
I love that venue, mate. All these loads of fucking random cars on the ceiling. I think it's mint. I do end up nearly smashing the doors off its hinges on the 2 times that I've been in my chair, though, as I told you. But yeah, it's an absolute. I love quirky venues like that, and it sort of adds to the occasion because you sort of feel like you're part of something or somewhere that no one really else knows about when you go into something like that. Not that a lot of people don't follow house music because they do, but I'm talking like on a local scale. It's good to sort of be a part, feel like you're a part of something. In terms of choosing those venues, what's the thought processes that go behind that? Is it that quirky nature what I told you about, and the sort of having the understanding with the owners themselves? Because what you said there shows a good business acumen. I know, obviously, you've been doing it for a while, but we're both still young, and to have the sort of tenacity and self belief to sort of say to other venues, "No, thank you, see you later," and find another one is, kudos to you.
It's really important. I think with venues in Birmingham, because it's so few and far between, and venues get kind of it's like DJs, like people get labelled and venues get labelled as this is what it is. This is the kind of music they're playing. You kind of go in and you know what you're getting with Birmingham, which to be fair, for the vast majority of them, it works. You know what I mean? People know they know if they're going in, whatever bar, that's the music they're getting. That's what they're going to have. Everyone's happy kind of thing. And I think with us, it was just a kind of, I'd worked in a lot of these venues as just as a DJ on nights at some point, and I like them. They all have their own unique taste and style and stuff. But I just wanted something a little bit different, and I thought, where is that going to be? And it's hard because they were limited on numbers. There was a couple of maybes, and we passed the circus, and I said, I love it. I went, absolutely love it. I went, it'll need a bit of rejigging and stuff, but we can make this work. But it was that was a really long process because the first event we did, they didn't have the license till, I think the license was only till 11 o'clock. So we had to put in for a temporary events license.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of complication at the time because the venue had just opened and they were waiting for their permanent license to be granted. So we then put in a temporary events license for a venue that's in a residential area till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I think it was 3 o'clock actually, and it just got bounced back, and they basically went, "We're not going to do it. We're not going to grant that." So within about, I think we had about 6 weeks to go, and as it stood, the event wasn't actually going ahead. I was confident we were going to get there, but I thought we need to keep, we need to keep promoting it. We need to keep pushing it. So we had to go into the town hall and basically do a big talk in front of environmental health and some councillors, and basically say why this event should happen, why it's good for the town, what it is we're bringing, and we went in and we had a discussion, an honest conversation. We said we'll put on door lads. We said we'll shut the music off by a certain time. We said we'll keep it within the limits for the area, and we got it granted. And honestly, that first night, it was so exciting to be in there, but there were so many factors. I think people actually remember we're having to walk around with like decibel meters, make sure that the sound levels were not, but it's all work because you've got an event where you want to play a lot of really, really good loud house music, and you're having to go around with decibel meters to check what the levels were like outside and inside the venue. So that first one, we did really well, and to be fair, the feedback was ace. And I said, well, now we know what it's like, what we need to do, how we're going to run it. So we took it from there, and every event since, I think, has just been better and better. And I think the last one we did was probably the best one we've done there today, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard proper good thing. I did have tickets to come to one event last year, but all my mates are boring and they're not right into all the house. Well, some of them are, but other majority of them are. I'm probably what you would say one of few house heads in my friendship group. So I did have tickets, but I had to sack it off because I weren't gonna go on my own. But in future, I'm definitely gonna come down because it definitely seems like you got something good going off there, and that's a good way of sort of segueing into future events and things like that you've got coming up in November, aren't you, pal?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, pal, you'd be more than welcome, even if you do come down on your own, because I think we've had 5 or 6 events now. We've never had any issues. Seriously, everyone's dead friendly.
100%.
Everyone's there for a good time, just to enjoy the music. We wanted to create something like that, and I think, just touching on the venue again briefly, I think it really helps that we're slightly out the town centre, just because it's kind of, we'll finish and then people then decide, if they want to go off into town and carry on the night. 2 o'clock's a good time, I think, for us, because we've got, and we're getting people out earlier, which it's changed a lot. The licensing changed in Burnley, quite a long time ago, and lots of people are hoping they'll put the licensing times back, because obviously, 18 to 25-year-olds are drinking at home, and then they're going out at like 2 o'clock when they're already pissed, and just going in town, and it's skipping out a lot of these type of venues. So
100%.
we went, is it risky having something that starts at 7, but we're actually showing that it can be done. If it's the right event and you're doing the right things, you can get a venue busy from early doors with kind of a younger crowd, which I think in itself is, it's really impressive, because a lot won't go out till later, especially in Burnley.
Yeah. I'm definitely.
But yeah, we've got.
No, go on, sorry, you're right, go on.
Oh, it's okay. So we've got the Jamboree coming up as well in November. So honestly, mate, get yourself down. You'll be more than welcome.
100%. Like I said to you off camera there, I feel like it's a good time to be alive at the moment, because I feel like I keep banging on about it on some of these podcast episodes, but I feel like I'm not that I wasn't doing all this stuff when I was 18, obviously I'm 24 now, but I've sort of had to wait for my younger generation mates to sort of mature and realise that nothing's gonna happen to me. Do you know what I mean? At these events, and like you say, everyone at these events are just so in love with the music, and so engrossed in the music that people are just there for the same reasons. That was exactly the same at B-Turner as well. I was stood there at B-Turner and I was nearly in tears because I'm thinking, oh my God, I've wanted to come to this event for like nearly the last 10 years and I'm here, and that's what music can do for you, isn't it, pal, for sure?
It is, mate. It's like in them environments, it is really powerful. You know what I mean? And it's good that I think we've felt we've kind of created something like that's really good for the town. To be honest, you know what I mean? Because I think 18 to kind of, I say 18 to 25-year-olds. I'm 27 now. You know, I'm getting up wrong side of 30, but
No.
you know, it's coming up. But that kind of age demographic, we'll say 18 to 30. You know,
Yeah.
it does get quite a bit of stick. You know what I mean? It's tends to be, oh, it's that kind of age demographic that are going to be causing trouble, that are going to be causing fights, whatever. But I think we've shown that, you know, it's actually it's not always this age group. You know what I mean? We
100%.
we get people that come to the event. They love what they do. They don't cause any bother. We all have a great night. We all dance. Everyone has a drink, whatever, and everyone leaves happy. And there's no issues. You know what I mean? I think we've created something that's quite special there. Do you know what I mean? And I want may that continue, and I hope you know, I hope it does.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully, one day I can sort of get to grips with these DJ controllers that I got. You never know, I could be on one of your events, pal. But in terms of the future, what's your future plans for both yourself as a DJ and your events company?
So I think for myself as a DJ, I think within the next, because I still work a day job,
Yeah,
but every year I do it, I'm getting closer and closer for it to be kind of a
yeah,
full time thing. I'm aiming for the next kind of 2 years to be able to say, listen, this is kind of my full time job now.
yeah,
You know, and it's a massive step to make. You know, you'll ask people. I think Hannah Lang spoke about it on an interview
yeah,
the other day, and she said, don't jump too soon, which people can get a bit too excited. You know, they might have a couple of good gigs, and then, you know, make the jump, and then all of a sudden they might not get any. I think I'll know when the timing's right, but I honestly believe it is coming. You know what I mean? I've worked hard towards it. I've got a cracking slot now, so I'm working with a radio station called Centre Force. I've just started with them. Really enjoying the show. So I've got my first gig in Camden, playing down there in December,
class.
which is fantastic. You know what I mean? I've always tried to see if I can get some stuff in London. It's never quite happened, but I'm hoping this will be the start of hopefully many more gigs to come. You know, for down that way, and then hopefully more will, you know, filter up here as well. But personally, it's been a good year. I think I've just got to keep doing what I'm doing, keep pushing forward, just keep being myself. You know what I mean? I think you have to keep your feet on the ground. It's easy to get carried away with when you're doing this. You know, I think people can get carried away sometimes and get maybe a little bit too ahead of themselves. You know, it's keep yourself humble, keep yourself cemented. So I think that's what I'll do for my growth for myself. As for the brand or brands, the Jamboree event, I want to keep that as just something that happens maybe a couple of times a year,
Yeah,
maybe a summer and a winter one, because
yeah,
there's a lot of old school type events that happen already,
yeah,
and I don't really want to delve too much into that. I want to really focus more on the rework. I enjoy putting
yeah,
them on for the
yeah,
the older clubber heads, but I like the fact it's just a couple of times a year. People come. It's quite cheap to get a ticket. We have really good lineups. Everyone just has a good night, and I think we'll keep it at that and just keep that at the circus. To be honest, that's probably where I'm going to take that brand. Rework, as for myself and Toby, with regards to that, I think next year we want to look at doing something, a couple of other venues. But again, it's I think it's about not doing too much. But when you are doing something, it's consistent, and you know it's because it's easy to get carried away. Like I said, we could say we're doing a rework once a month, and we might have two events that go really well, but then it might start to, you know, kind of drizzle off a bit. So we don't
yeah.
want to do. We want to make sure the brand's strong and every event is growing and it's better for us. So hopefully next year we can look at a couple of events outside of Burnley as well. and maybe try and test as waters in maybe a Manchester or something. Possibly look at doing maybe a day festival or day event as well. You know, we want to still make sure that, you know, we're cemented and we've got something good here, but we do want to try and grow the brand as well. And, you know, we have to try new adventures, you know, and I think next year might be the chance to just test the waters a little bit with a couple of other venues, maybe a different other cities or towns, and see how we get on with both of them, mate.
100%, pal. You know what? I've properly enjoyed speaking to you today, mate. You're a top guy, and there's nothing like this music on the planet. Next stop for me is my next task. He's going to try get to Ibiza, persuade some people to go with me, or Amsterdam as well. I heard the chocolate over there is very nice, but we won't go into that too. Yeah, 100%. Thank you for joining me today, pal. You're a top man. Have you got any parting comments before we stop the recording?
No, just thank you very much for having me on, mate. I hope I've answered everything you wanted to ask, and you know, I appreciate you doing this as well. You know what I mean? It's great. It's great that you're you know, you're doing this and interviewing people. It's really good for the town. Keep at it, you know, and best of luck with whatever you've got going forward as well, mate. And hopefully we'll see you down at the circus, even if your mates join you or not.
100%, pal. Keep supporting local people, everybody, and thank you for joining me, Matty.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers. Stop.